Hello and good evening. Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation, the podcast live here on a Saturday night, guys. Welcome one and all. It is 7:30 on Saturday, the 22nd of April. Guys, if you're picking this video up at a later date and you haven't already done so, hit that sub, ring that notification bell and give this video a like, guys. It does really help out with that YouTube algorithm, doesn't it? So who have we got in the live chat? Let's go to the all-important live chat first of all. We've got Brian who says hello. Absolutely, Brian. Absolutely. Nicholas Moore, my good buddy, my super mod. Good evening, everyone from South Wales Loyal. We've got David Hutchinson as well. Hello, people. We are the people, David. We are the people. We're also joined by Gallant as well. Gallant Pioneer in the live chat. Evening, fellow Bears. Evening to Gallant. Gallant likes my intro. Like I said in previous pods, Gallant, the intro is by an American guy. Did it for me? American eye. Get the loons lines out. Yeah, I know. Okay, we should be back on the schedule now. Buffering should have stopped, hopefully, in a minute. There we go. Should be back on full schedule now. So, yeah, we've got a situation, obviously, where the internet's shit. But no, okay. Welcome all. Welcome, Gallant. Welcome to my good buddy, Liz. Hey, Liz. How you doing? David Hutchinson saying say hello to the South Wales Loyal. Hello, how are you, my friend? Okay, guys, we are live here on a Saturday night. Victoria is on holiday again. That girl has more holidays than whatever. She's on holiday, so she's not with us tonight. She will be joining us next week. We have got a special guest next week, Stuart Hay, coming on the show. And I've also got, hopefully got on Thursday night, some of the boys from Club at 22 coming on as well. So hopefully we've got some good guests there. Those of you saying hello to Liz. Liz is my good buddy. She is from Dalbeattie in Scotland. She is Scottish. She is, sort of a Rangers fan. I've been trying to convince her to become a Rangers fan. Anyway, I've been obviously educating her as to the evils of Celtic. So this is the Glasgow Rangers Nation Q&A, guys. We have been, I put up a community post on the site the other day asking for your questions and your answers. And we've got a few questions to answer tonight. So what we're going to do, guys, we're going to do the question and answer first. We'll do your Q&A first. And then we've got a couple of things I want to talk about. And obviously, there's something that happened today that we all want to mention. Gallant, it's Victoria is organising. Yes, as far as I'm aware, it is that guy, the guy who wrote the book. Yep, it is him. So it's all good, man, all good. Yeah, so we'll do the Q&A first, and then we're going to talk about a little something that happened today in Glasgow. I can't help it, mate. I can't make her do it. I do apologise. We all want Victoria, but unfortunately she can't come on tonight. Anyway, you'll see I put my ugly mug. If you don't want to watch, feel free, guys. It's up to you. It's your Saturday night. Okay, let's talk question and answer. Now, let's deal with some of the sensible questions, shall we? Okay, so Cami K asked a question. With a very helpful answer from Aldo, as always. Aldo with some, you're going to see some really weird questions from Aldo. Aldo asked some very strange questions tonight. He said, other than football, what is your favourite sports to watch or take part in? Well, Cami K, Paul as well. That's a good question. She's gone away for the weekend with a friend. So she's away this weekend. She's had a hard work schedule this week, so that's what she's doing. I know, Brian, mate. I know. Right, okay. So other than football, what are your other favourite sports to watch or take part in? As you might be able to tell from me, I'm not the most sporting of guys, right? I don't do a lot of sport outside of this. I do a lot of YouTubing, walk my dog, work. That's about it, right? So not a lot of other sports. Well, not a lot of sports you can talk about here on live on YouTube anyway. Not a lot of physical activities you can talk about live on YouTube. So what are the sports I'm into? Well, guys, I have two big passions outside of football, two big passions outside of Rangers. David, not quite tiddlywinks. No, not quite tiddlywinks. Anyway, so my first passion is NFL. I love NFL. I'm a massive NFL fan. That's American football, for those of you who don't know. I run an NFL channel called Pittsburgh Going, Steeler Nation UK, because I'm a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So Pittsburgh Steelers, that's my team. TJ Watt, top player, but I am a big, huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan. That's my first other passion. I have. Obviously, the season there only runs from September to February if you're lucky. The other sport that I follow is this sport here, which is NHL ice hockey. Big ice hockey fan, and my favorite team is the Pittsburgh Penguins. So big City of Pittsburgh in the United States fan. So that is my that's my thing. So there we go. I will get to your question in a minute, Nicholas. Don't you worry, guys. I don't watch other sports. It's just purely football and 95% just Rangers. Couldn't tell you the first thing about the NFL. No, the stadiums in the NFL are colossal, hold like 90,000. They do, mate. They absolutely do. They are huge. Same gallant, mate. Don't even English football, says Brian. Keep Jack Payo as you play. So the question for Nicholas I'm going to get onto straight away now before I go on to the questions that were sent in by the viewers. Question here by Nicholas Moore says, my question is it time to let Ryan Jack go? As he's so injury prone. Personally, I think his time is up. That's a great question, Nicholas. Fantastic question. Ryan Jack, how do you solve a problem like Ryan Jack? Now, look, I looked up his stats last night. I did it in the video that I did yesterday, I put out this morning. I looked up Ryan Jack stats. And Ryan Jack, if you look at the number of league games he has played in the last year or so, it is not impressive. So let's take this season here. So we're going to look at season by season for a minute. Let's just have a look, shall we? So this season, he's played 22 matches. Last season, he played 9 matches. Season before that, he played 19 matches. 2019-2020, he played 19 matches. 2018-2019, he played 30 matches. 2017-2018, he played 17 league matches. You can supplement that with 3 Scottish League Cup games in 22-23, 1 in 21, 3 in 2019, 1 in 2018, 2 in 2017. He played all 5 Champions League. He played 6 Champions League games this year. In the Europa League last year, he played 9 of the games for Rangers. So as you can see, his statistics of games played is not that great, not that great. So we've got to take a decision based on that, haven't we? Gallant says, I would definitely let Jack go. Brian says, I'm with you, Nick. Great player, but injuries have burdened him, unfortunately. Aaron, I watched your pod earlier. I chuckled when you mentioned Hadji's father and said he was the best player in the team. That was what Hadji said. Yeah, it was very funny. Hadji saying that Yanis Hadji is the best player at Rangers, which we all know is probably, well, it's definitely not true anyway, is it? Because we all know it's John Lundstrom. Anyway, yeah, so back to Nicholas's question. He said, obviously, that, so personally, right, when, this discussion first kept going through, first kept coming up, I was more for keeping Jack. And that was when he'd come back, I think, from injury. He was getting a run of games in the team. He had that brilliant performance against Hibernian, for example. He did exceptionally well. My issue now with Jack is that now we're at a point in the season where we really need Ryan Jack. You need all your best players fit. We've got a tough game tomorrow at Pittodrie. It's never an easy place to go and play. I know we should be going up there and winning. It's Aberdeen after all. It's not Real Madrid. But we need Ryan Jack fit. We then go obviously to the semi-final next week at Hampden Park. And, it looks like we're probably going to have to play John Lundstrom because obviously Jack is out. So once again, Jack is missing a game where we need him. So my problem with Jack at the moment is he's missing too many games. That's the problem. I think he's missing too many games. He's missing too many important games. He's injured too much. So for me, as much as I would, as it hurts to say this, given the fact that, he's been a fantastic player for the club and he still is when he's fit, a great player. He's a quality player. And he's one of the first names on the team sheet when he's fit. But I think if we're going to challenge Celtic next season, if we're going to overtake Celtic next season, if we're going to be the best team in Scotland, we cannot and must not be constantly having this discussion again next season when he's fit about these players. We've got to have players that are fit, committed, can play for full season and are not constantly injured. So for me, I would say it's time for Jack to go. I agree with a lot of people in the live chat. I would keep Scott Arfield as a super sub. I think he's very good at coming off the bench. Scott Arfield keeps himself very fit as well. And I think Arfield does something from the bench that not many others can do. He's got that presence to get beyond. He's got a bit of physicality about him. So, yeah, definitely would keep Arfield. So what Brian says, I would rather keep Arfield. Gallant says Arfield actually makes big impacts off the bench. He does. RFC 56, I'm wanting a total rebuild. I can think of about 12 players that I want out. I think we need about 8 quality players in. We do. We need a fair few in. Nicholas says, definitely keep Arfield 100%. Plus, Arfield shows genuine desire. He does. Correct, gallant mate, says Brian. Paul McGarrigle says, sorry, Victoria, but I would sell Hadji and use the money for Tillman, but only if the offers are over 5 mil. I agree with you on that, Paul McGarrigle. We need 5 million for him. 3 million is not good enough. Nicholas Moore says, Arfield is a Rangers man through and through. George A says, good evening, troops. Good evening, George. Hope you're good. Beard of the board needs to be absolutely ruthless this summer. I agree with you, Gallant, on that. Loads of comments. Keep your comments coming. Love reading your comments. We have Lawrence, Tillman, Lowry, number 10s next season. I'd let Arfield go and sell Hadji. Time to look forward. David says keep both, but put Jack on a pay-as-you-play. It's an interesting one. I don't know whether Jack would take that, David. I'm still not 100% on the Tillman train yet, to be honest, Brian. I think he's got to have 2 big performances, Brian, if I'm being wholly honest, in these next 2 Old Firm games to convince those fans that are not ready yet to buy into the Tillman hype. RFC 56 says, I'd let Jack go as well. A massive rebuild is needed, 100%. Brian, I'm with you on that. Never been a Tillman fan. How can you not see, Brian? Tillman is a no-brainer. It's a bit of discussion over Tillman there. No, Nick, not for me, but etc., etc. Any strikers you think will be a perfect fit? Start seeing the Rangers team. JD, good question. I'll get to that question in a minute. Caroline, the live chat. Caroline, great to see you. Great to see you. Great to have you on board. I'll get to that question in a minute. Okay, so question. I'm going to do this question before we get on to the actual questions. Any strikers you think will be a perfect fit, or would you like to see in the Rangers team? JD says the 2 strikers that have been linked with the club, I think, are decent shouts. I'd love to see Josh Madger. Josh Madger is a good centre forward. He's got good, quick feet. He can turn his man. He's quick. He's a good finisher. He can finish off both feet. He can finish inside the box, outside the box. He gets crucial goals at crucial times. I think he would get us 25 to 30 easily. He's a good player. I've seen him play up close. He is a very good player. Whether he leaves Girondin, I don't know, but he is a good player. Joel Perreault, the guy from Swansea that was linked, he is the Dutch centre forward. He's a good striker. Again, someone I would like to see. Not Lyndon Dykes. Please, not Lyndon Dykes under any circumstances. That guy is useless. Absolutely useless. We don't want Lyndon Dykes at the club. Definitely not. Kevin Van Veen, maybe 20 goals this season, scored today, didn't he? Got a goal today. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, so maybe Kevin Van Veen another as a backup striker, not as a first choice, but as a backup. But Josh Madger is my favourite. I love Josh Madger. I think he's a very, very talented player. See, to be honest, I actually know very little about what players are out there, just purely because I only watch Rangers. 100% Gallant, and there's no reason for you to know that. At the end of the day, you've got... unless you go and research, the only reason I know something about these guys is because I've gone and researched it for the pod. That's the reason why I know about Madger. Okay, I have seen Madger play for Sunderland, and I've gone obviously researched Perreault, players like that. That's the only reason I know that. Caroline says in the live chat, I think we will get Lyndon Dykes. I've just got a gut feeling. Unfortunately, Caroline, I have the same gut feeling, but I just think it would be a huge mistake. Huge mistake. Big mistake. D says, hey Bears, sorry I'm late, playing penalty kicks with my grandkids. Fantastic, D, hope you won. Got to teach them, winning and losing. And no Van Bean 32, says Paul McGarrigle. Okay, so let's get back to the questions, shall we? So we've had ask the question. Oh, there we go. So what a question. This is a really difficult question. How much do Rangers need to spend this summer to build a truly competitive squad? What a question, James. What a question. 150 million. I don't know. You know what? It's a difficult question. It's a really hard question to answer. They need to invest sensibly. They need to spend wisely. The problem is, without question, I don't know. And this is going to be a horrible answer. And guys, I truly apologize for this answer. But you don't know how much money is available at this moment in time to the club. You don't know how much money they've got and they've got to spend. And that's part of the issue. You're probably going to need upwards of £20 million, I think, to redevelop this squad. If you're looking at, say, 5 million for Tillman, if you're going to go and get someone like Madger, it's going to cost you 3.5 million. That's 8.5 million. A goalkeeper, 3 million, unless you get Butland, who's free. So let's say we get Butland, who's free. That takes it off the thing. Panzo, the defender, 3 million. That's 11.5 million. Well, you've got 3 players there. We're up to 11.5 million already. That leaves you 8.5 million to play with for other players. Luis Palmer was 4.5 million. So that'd be what, 16 million. That leaves you 4 million. You know, so you're going to be looking at upwards, I think, of 20 million pounds. It's whether the board are willing to release that type of money and whether the board have that type of money. Cameron says 10 to 15 million. Brian says 10 to 15 million, but it's Rangers. Who knows? I agree, Brian, 10 to 15. And Garnet says spend it wisely. I think, personally, it's going to take something between 15 and 20 to redevelop this squad, given the valuations on players. It very much does depend on where Michael Beale shops as well. If he shops south of the border, you're going to be paying an English premium, which means you'll be paying more for your players. But yeah, D, you're spot on with what you've just said there. This is going to take a few windows, some serious horse trading required. Unfortunately, very little will be made from any sales. Yeah, true. Kamara may be sold on, but probably when you get 2-3 million for him. Tillman money is already ring fenced, is it not? After what I've heard, Caroline, yeah. Correct. 100% Gallant. It's the type of players we bring in. Paul McGarrigle says, for me, sell McLaughlin, 1 to 1.5 million, Dunstrom 2 million, Kamara 4 to 5, Scott Wright 1.5. That would generate some, you know, even if you look at the bottom end of that 1, 3, 7, 8 million pounds to come in. Caroline says we need to offload some players. Yeah, we do need to offload some players, Caroline. I agree with you 100% on that assertion. Okay, let's take the next question. What a question. What a question. What a question. Do you think, given more time, Gio could have turned it round? That's a good question. A couple of things there in the live chat, so I'll pick that up quickly. We need to offload players, as Caroline said. And also with Beale wanting 5 players, I actually think 3 will be free signings. He is good at getting a Bosman and getting a free, isn't he? That's one thing about him that does actually work. He is quite good at doing that. Okay. Do I think Gio could have turned it around, given more time? In one word, no. I don't think he could have done. There's a few reasons for this. Number one, I think he got the fitness program completely wrong at the start of the season. The players weren't fit, and I think that's what's contributed to all these injuries. Gio was never running the players. He was never making them run. He was always doing everything with the ball. And Rangers players themselves said it was one of the easiest pre-seasons they've ever had. There was no real hard physical work there. And I think that's one thing that's obviously then straight away held him back. Also, over time, what about Gio gives you confidence that he could turn it round? When he took over Rangers, we were 4 points ahead in the league when Steven Gerrard left. We lost the league by 4 points. There was an 8-point swing during Gio's time in that first part of the season. Okay, you can give him an excuse. He was coming in part way. He was taking over another man's players, etc., etc. But then the next season, we were 9 points behind Celtic. We lost to lesser teams as well. That's something Michael Beale's Rangers don't do. We obviously dropped points against Livingston, against St Mirren. We lost to St Johnstone, which is unforgivable. What else about him? His Champions League campaign was utterly embarrassing. Played 6, lost 6, 4-2, conceded 22, 7-1 hammering at home against Liverpool. Utterly embarrassing. And his style was one-dimensional. His style was cross. I think Rangers crossed the ball more than any other team in the Scottish Premiership. It made us boring. It made us predictable. It made us easy to defend against. There was no plan B. And I think that, again, wouldn't have lent itself to turning it around at all. So also, I think the players had kind of bought out of him then. They'd kind of given up on him. I honestly think, no, there was no way that if you'd given Gio any more time, we could have turned this around. I think we would have been even further behind than we are at this point in time if we'd given Gio one more time. Here we go. So comments. Gallant says absolutely not. If Gio had stayed, we'd be 18 to 22 points behind. Add Kamara and Hadji to that, Owens. That's one of the, say, 5 million. I think he mentioned Kamara. Need around 10 players out. Get them off the wage bill. You beat me to it, Caroline. Ha ha. Lol, Brian. Nicholas Moore says in the live chat, never in a month of Sundays would Gio have turned things round. Agree, Nicholas. I think Rangers should be raiding the Norwegian league. Some great players hiding in that league. I know very little about the Norwegian league, JD. I'm going to admit on that one. David says that Gio lost the dressing room. Gallant says there's a few hard-fought victories Beale has won that Gio would have lost. Agreed on that one. No, his style of play was not suited for Rangers' side, too defensive. Agreed. Gio was the wrong man. For us, that's the basic truth. D, agree, says RFC 56. Gallant says the run to the final was a hybrid between Gerrard and Gio. The season was fully fledged Gio ball. Yes, I agree. The Europa League final, Gio benefited, I think, from Steven Gerrard's fitness work that he'd done with the players, definitely. Would put that down to injuries as well, to be honest. Caroline, he lost the dressing room. He did. Okay, so let's move on then. So with our next question in our Q&A, I think it's this one here. Is it this one here? Okay, it's from Jimmy Duff. Jimmy Duff asks, do you think Rangers should let McGregor and McLaughlin go this summer? Personally, I think we need to recruit 2 goalkeepers. Jimmy, I agree. I think it's time McLaughlin moved on. I don't think he's up to the job. I think he's proved that in times he has had opportunity to play. So yes, I think McLaughlin should be gone. Definitely. I hope, and if we can sell him on for something, he is out of contract. I think it's 20. I think he's out of contract next. No, he's not next summer. That's Borna, Lundstrom, and the other one. His name escapes me at the moment. So no, I don't think so. So we could get some money for him. So I think that would be definitely a deal we could do. McGregor, I think. Look, I love Alan McGregor. He's one of the greatest goalkeepers in Rangers history. He's going to go down as being one of the greatest goalkeepers in Rangers history, and I'm hoping to be at his testimonial on the 18th. If anyone's around for that, I'll see you at that. I'll see you at Ibrox for that game. But I think this season he doesn't come for balls. He doesn't command his box anymore. He's not coming for balls that he should be. Some goals that we've conceded this season we could have quite easily avoided had we had someone else in goal, like Robbie McCrory maybe, or another young keeper that we'd signed. So yeah, I do think it's time we moved on from McGregor. Definitely say it. Gallant says, I hate to say it, but the Asian market is a good market. They play with high intensity. Yeah, they do. I mean, Maeda, what's he called? Kyogo, etc. across the city. Fitness cost us at the start of the season. It did. Both need to move on. Surely they will not offer McGregor a new deal. That's Caroline. That is a rumor that has been coming out. And I really do hope that it is not true, unless they're going to give him a coaching contract. I just think that, his reflexes are starting to go. He doesn't come for balls. I think a lot of the defensive uncertainty for me is created because McGregor won't come for crosses. There's goals that have been conceded from balls coming into the box where I think if the defense had the knowledge that McGregor's going to come, he's going to take that ball, he's going to come and grasp it out of the sky. I think they would have avoided a number of goals. I think, it's time for McGregor to move on. Gallant says, I don't mind if McGregor stays, just as long as he doesn't play. Yes, I said a coaching role for McGregor would be a good one in my opinion. But yeah, it's time. It's time. There comes a time when you've got to move on, and hopefully Alan McGregor's kind to realize that now. Like I said, he is, I think, affecting the defense. The defense hasn't been great this year, and no question about that. And that's not solely down to McGregor. Ben Davis has had some absolute mares recently. There's been Tav's got quite our position. Bourne has been quite our position. It's not just them. It's not just McGregor. It's everyone. But McGregor does not help the situation. The defense is confident, and your solidity as a defense is improved vastly when you have a great goalkeeper. Look at Rangers under Andy Gorham. Gorham was awesome, and the confidence he would give to his defenders. The Manchester United teams, when they had Van der Sar and Schmeichel, absolutely outstanding teams. The Arsenal team with David Seaman, when you've got those outstanding keepers back there, it gives you confidence, doesn't it? And I think that's one thing that is suffering. Would keep McGregor as a coach. Lol, says David Hutchinson. McGregor needs to retire because the more mistakes he makes, it will diminish his reputation. Agreed. And that's the other thing, the longer you stay somewhere, the more hated you kind of become. I've seen that in American football. The team I support, Pittsburgh Steelers, had a quarterback who'd been there for 18 years. And in his last season, he was there was a lot of fans calling for him to be benched, calling for his head, because he couldn't do the things he could do 5-6 years previously. And you don't want to see that happen to Alan McGregor, that next season, say he is brought back and he gets benched. And you don't want to see that to happen to a great like Alan McGregor. The only thing I'd offer now, McGregor, is a bus pass. The Jota goal, McGregor should have put his right leg through him. You know, McGregor, I think a younger, faster goalkeeper would have got there, Brian, if I'm being honest. If McGregor had Rangers at heart, he would have stood down after last season. Controversial, I know. No, Gallant, it's not. McGregor played a massive part in losing us that title, says Gallant. I think it's all part of that again. You know, he doesn't command his box anymore. He's not coming for the ball. He's not taking command of his area. The defence is uncertain because of that. You know, as a defence, I played it when I was a kid and when I was younger and I was at university. I played in defence. And if you knew you had a keeper back there who would command his area, who'd come and get the ball, who'd sweep behind you. And that's another thing. Modern goalkeepers are sweeper keepers. They come and they play out from the back and they sweep up at the back. You know, the Manuel Neuer was the first one that did that. And we need a keeper like that. And McGregor just simply is not that at all. Yeah, definitely. Gallant scene for me. Possibly Gio asked him to stay on so he could get his keeper. He was like a statue in the 7-1 defeat to Liverpool. You could see he chucked it. Yeah, 100% agreed, Gallant. 100% agreed. Who would I replace those two with? Jack Butland. I love Jack Butland. I think he would be a great pick for me. He would be free. You'd only have his wages to find. He's an England international. He has played for England. He's got varied Premier League experience. He's got some experience in the Premiership as well. He's played. You know, he's one possibility. Freddie Woodman is another one. But I think Robbie McCrory needs to be given a go as well. I fully hope that Robbie McCrory, after the semi-final, is given the opportunity to play some league games to see what we've got in Robbie McCrory. You know, to see whether he is up to the job and up to the task. I think it's only fair with Robbie that we do that. After the semi-final next week. Well, McGregor is a Rangers fan, so he was always taking another contract. Can I sell like Freddie Woodman? Yeah, Freddie Woodman is a very good goalkeeper. Preston North End, I think, would cost somewhere between 3.5 and 4 million. Nicholas says McCrory definitely deserves a chance. Don't know much about Jack Butland. His name is. If you want to go and Google him after the show, that's how you spell his name. I'm going to bring it up for you there, Jack Butland. McGregor is Rangers through and through. In his head, he still thought he could do it, but as fans, we see he can't anymore. Love him to bits. Yeah, we all love him to bits, but we just want him to, I think, move on and call it a day. That's definitely the thing that they're doing. Must go to YouTube for goalies, yeah, Brian. But yeah, put Jack Butland in. The word Jack Butland. There's his name there. Have a look at him. He's a good keeper. He is a very good keeper. Okay, let's go back to the questions. Have we done this one? Okay, so this is the next question from Rich Durant. Says, if we lose the 2 remaining Old Firm games, how much time will Michael Beale be given to turn Rangers around? That's a great question. That is a great question. Great question. If we lose the semi-final and we lose the dead rubber at Ibrox, I think Beale will be Beale won't be sacked. Let's get out straight away. Beale is not going to be sacked if he loses the last 2 Old Firm games. Is he going to be under pressure? Yes, he will be under pressure because that will have meant that he's lost every game against Celtic that he's played, all 4. Then I think the start of next season, he will be under intense pressure come that first Old Firm game. If he loses that game, you then could see something happen as regards Michael Beale. I have an honest feeling about that because I think some within the supporter base would turn against him at that point and the pressure would come on the board. So I think he will be under a lot of pressure. What have we got here? Cooking live chat. Gallant says, would love to see McGregor as be a pundit. He'll be up there with Roy Keane. I think he would, but he'd be to the point, wouldn't he? McCrory couldn't keep his place as number 1. Livingston, says Paul McGarrigle. Remember him at Stoke, brilliant keeper. He's talking about Jack Butland. He was brilliant at Stoke. That's where he got his England thing. Beale will get summer to build regardless of the 2 remaining head-to-heads. Yeah, agreed. We can't judge him on this team. It's not his. Agreed. Paul deserves a chance at least. That's McCrory he's talking about. I would take Butland as a free, then spend the rest on the team. Yeah, good idea that is. Yeah, so I agree. You know, at the end of the day, I think you've got to look at the situation. He's going to be under pressure. If he loses the last 2 games, yes, we still give him the summer to build his team. But I think if he loses his first Old Firm game next season, then that'll be 5 in a row. And I think the pressure would really build at that point. That was a good question. A interesting question, shall we say, from Rich Duran. I think you've got to obviously counterbalance that with the fact that you just cannot keep changing managers all the time either. You know, you can't keep sacking managers, have a rotating door. So, yeah. I think so, definitely. You know, I think he will be under pressure, but we give him the summer at least to build his team. To be honest, so many names flying around. Just have to wait and see who Michael Beale brings in. Obviously, Harry Winks was the latest name things. Correct D, he's done really good since he came in. Got to give him a couple of windows, mate. Absolutely. You can't just keep sacking managers. Yeah, agreed. You can't just keep sacking managers. It's not the way forward. If you get that constant rotation of managers, you get instability within the club. You end up with a set of players that the new manager doesn't want because he was the last manager. Then you've got to regenerate again the window and then again, and you're stuck in a constant state of flux all the time, and you can't build a team. So he's got to be given time, I think, no matter what. And I see a lot of positives in Michael Beale. I really do see an awful lot of positives. Would sack Skippy from the dark side, though. Angie's talking about there. Big old fat Ange Postecoglou. Yeah, fair dinkum, mate. Fair dinkum. Nicholas said, to me, he will always be a backup. That's how McCrory's talking about there. It's really not the Rangers' way, or to give people time. I think what we're seeing right now is the very best of what this team can give us. I think so. That is a situation we are in. Okay, let's move on to the last two now. The last two questions were from Aldo. And I don't think Aldo was taking this 100% seriously when he asked these questions. The questions before, great Rangers questions. And when we do a Q&A, that's the sort of questions that I want. Also, guys, if you want to ask me a question about myself, that's fine. Feel free to ask me anything you want about me. Aldo said, why do we cut down Bird's house? Why do we cut down Bird's house to make bird houses? Aldo, mate, I don't know. Random, absolutely random, mate. I haven't got a clue. And then his next question was, how much could a woodchuck wood if a wood could? I can't even say that. How much wood could a woodchuck wood if a woodchuck could? And Cammy says, who put the ram in Ramalama Ding Dong? I brought your questions up, mate. I haven't got a clue. Typical Aldo. Absolutely awful. Not great. We never used to sack managers. That was the thing. The glue sniffers across the city did. Yeah, agree. And I think we've got to give them time. Get the injuries over. Then we will see the best that they can give us. Yeah, 100% agree. We've had a really bad season, haven't we, for injuries? Absolutely dreadful season for injuries. And it's not been great, has it, at all in terms of injuries? And obviously the news that, that Jack's out, Cholak is touch and go, that Goldson and Kent are not available until next week. So obviously they're not going to figure on Sunday, against Aberdeen. Just a reminder, guys, live watch along here on Glasgow Rangers Nation. Come and join me tomorrow from about 4:15, ready for the game as we take on the Sheep. Some riveting questions from Aldo. Yeah, guys, next time you see Aldo in a live chat, give him some stick for those questions, will you please? Give him some stick. Is that something to do with the Wizard of Oz chopping wood? I haven't got a clue, mate. He was on the sauce last night, so he'll be rough today. Aldo will be rough today. So, yeah, guys, obviously come and join me tomorrow for the live stream. We've got this live stream tomorrow, Aberdeen versus Rangers, as we seek to cut Celtic's lead to 10 points. We won 54 titles with 12 managers. Yeah, 100%. Okay, guys, let's just, to finish off the pod today, let's just talk about today, shall we? Anyone see the football results today? Has anyone seen the results today? Has anyone seen the SPL results from today? Anyone? Oh, question from Caroline. Caroline, super question. How did you become a Rangers fan? Right, Caroline, this is how I became a Rangers fan. Wish I had the picture still. I'm going to try and find this picture. Just bear with me a minute. Okay, 1980, Caroline. I started supporting Rangers when I was about 9 years old, 9 years old. Why did I start supporting Rangers? I was a big fan of Graham Souness. I was a huge fan of Chris Woods. I was a goalkeeper at the time. Chris Woods was my favourite goalkeeper of all time. Massive fan of Chris Woods. Chris Woods went to Rangers. Graham Souness was at Rangers. I started watching Rangers because of the fact that Chris Woods played for them, that Graham Souness played for them. We then brought in other players that I liked, like Terry Butcher, Ali McCoist. I loved Ali McCoist as well at the time. He'd actually played for Sunderland, which is my English team. And so for me, that was why I started supporting Rangers. So 87, got behind them and have followed them ever since. I probably love them now the most. They are the primary club for me. I watch their games ahead of everyone else's. If Sunderland and Rangers are playing at the same time, I watch the Rangers game first. So that's how I became a Rangers fan. But yeah, because of Chris Woods, basically, because I was a goalkeeper, I decided that because I was Chris Woods was my favourite. He joined Rangers. I should start supporting Rangers because of that. Hey, when you're 9 years old, what do you know? And that's why I started supporting them. And let me see if I can find this picture that I have. There's a picture somewhere on the internet. Guys, if you're on Facebook, ask to join Glasgow Rangers Nation Official. It's our Facebook group. You'll see loads of images on there. I don't know how good I can get this picture here, but can you see that, guys? I don't know if you can see that on there. That's me in my old school McEwen's Lager Rangers top. Can you see that, guys? Can you see it? There you go. Okay, so 1-1 to them. Ha ha. JD says he's drawing a blank, mates. I do like Sunderland, Paul. Yes, I was born in Sunderland. Van Bean, lol. I did. Love Chris Woods. He was my favourite too, says Caroline. Caroline, we've got good taste. Chris Woods was a goalie, to be honest, brilliant. He was. I heard you on the Gallant View podcast mention it's because the big English contingent in the late 80s. Yeah, that was right. Anyone see Graham Roberts' interview? It was brilliant. Yes, guys, check that out. It was absolutely superb. I'm not recently, Gallant. Not a lot recently. I've just got divorced, so I haven't got a lot of money. My ex-wife didn't really like me going away for games. And I also work in retail, so getting off Saturdays off were hard. But I am going to start going to some games for definite soon, very soon. I have been to games. I have been up there to games, so yeah. Anyone said the Graham? I am actually talking about Graham Roberts, about getting him on the pod here as well. Knew I should have went to Specsavers. Cracking shirt that Owen. The McEwen's Lager one, Nicholas. It was Gallant. That strip was a belter. It was. I love that strip. Love the red and white McEwen's Lager. It was my favourite. Yeah, I did back then, mate. Shave it all off now. I hate having hair now. Yeah, that was bad hair. And you see the tennis bat in my hand as well. That was for battering Celtic fans. Yeah, so today, guys, don't know if you've seen Celtic won, Motherwell won at Parkhead. Absolutely embarrassing. They did not play well at all. You know, they had chances, of course they did. And Liam Kelly, the Motherwell goalkeeper, played very well. Kevin Van Veen had Taylor on toast. He absolutely roasted him for their goal. You know, turned him inside out. And what's encouraging about that is the fact that they did not play well. They did not play at all well. Now, I know they may have had one eye on the semi-final next week, but they didn't play well at all. And you know what? They're not playing good. They're not a good team. They are really not a very good team at all. Paul McGarrigle, Owen used to go to Roker Park. Stepfather, I might have seen you there, mate. I might have passed you. But yeah, so it's just they did not play well at all, and they drew 1-1. They dropped points. You know, it makes that defeat look even worse, doesn't it? Now that defeat at Parkhead. Yeah, if only we won against them, Brian. 100% agree with you, buddy. If only we'd beaten them at Parkhead, which we should have done. We gave them 2 goals. You know, it could have been so different. But you know, hey, that's hindsight. But yeah, they were not very good today. And look, if we can go out tomorrow, we can give a good performance and win that game tomorrow, playing well, playing some good football, high press on, get a few goals, then take some of the key players off. I think we're in great stead going into that semi-final. I really, really do. I think, you know, that we really have got an opportunity to actually go and win that game next week. And look, there's no reason why we can't win that game next week. You know, the team's playing well. You know, Celtic are not a good team. They are not a good team. You've just got to look at their efforts in Europe to see that. Caroline says, hope they don't play well next week. Man, me too, Caroline. So tomorrow, I would go with this is my team for tomorrow. Start with Morelos up front. So I'd have Sakala, Cantwell and Tillman behind him. I'd have Lundstrom and Raskin. And then I'd have Borna, Davis, Sauter and Tav with McGregor in goal. I think that's probably the strongest team we can select tomorrow. Obviously, you know, there's maybe slight discussions of whether Rabbi Matondo could play, but yeah, definitely. My ex-wife asked me if I love Rangers more than her. I told her I love Celtic more than you. Just said that to my ex-wife, shouldn't I, Dee? Makes me happy with them not playing well, especially with the semis coming up. I'm not going to read that out, but I'm going to leave it up there for a minute. Unfortunately, it's all too little, too late. Yes, and it's like that joke that I told you the other night, didn't I? I said, you know, if a Celtic fan divorces his wife, are they still brother and sister? I mean, that's a good question, isn't it? I think to consider. But that for me will be the team tomorrow. I think we've got every opportunity to win that game, every opportunity to do well in that game. You know, this team are more than capable of scoring a good few goals. Yeah, D, that was a good joke, mate. That was a really good joke. Lundstrom, unfortunately, Gallant, it's either him or Kamara, isn't it? I think that's the situation. It's got to be him or Kamara. There really is nobody else. With Ryan Jack being out, who else is there to put in there? Unless you drop Cantwell back, which then takes away from his creativity. So I don't think we can really afford to do that. So I think, unfortunately, it has got to be Lundstrom tomorrow to start. And I think he'll start the semi-final as well, given the fact that Ryan's out and is out long term. Well, guys, I'm going to call that a pod for tonight. Thank you very much for taking part. Thank you to all those people who sent in questions on the post. And also thank you to anyone who's asked questions in the live chat and everyone who's made comments as well. All your comments, or your questions, or your jokes. Absolutely superb. Absolutely superb. Points are what we need. Lower the points gap. Yeah, absolutely. Oh no, not Kamara, says Caroline. That's why I think it'll be Lundstrom tomorrow, Caroline. I think Kamara's sort of is finished now. I don't think we could see him start many games now for the rest of the season. After that League Cup final, I think he's done at the club. I think he will move on in the summer. Okay, thank you very much, guys. Nicholas says, great pod. Thank you very much. Thank you, Owen, says Caroline. Thank you, Caroline, for joining in. And guys, please look out for the community post next week with the Q&A again. I'll be posting that again with a Q&A up there to get your questions and answers. So please look out for that. That'll probably go about Wednesday time. So please look out for that. As always, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you here on Glasgow Rangers Nation. I'll be back tomorrow, obviously, to do the live stream. So please come and join me for the live stream tomorrow from 4:15 as Rangers travel to Pittodrie to take on Aberdeen. And guys, if you haven't yet done so, please hit that sub, please ring that notification bell, and please give this video a like. It really does help. Thanks, Owen, everyone else. We are the people still howling for these things. See you, Owen. See you, Bears. Okay, guys, let's go it out. We are the people. Let's take this out, guys. Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow.